Dave Birkett here with the Detroit Free Press, live from Radio Row, Super Bowl 58 in Las Vegas, Nevada, here with Dave Beachnau, Executive Director of the Detroit Sports Commission. And Dave, you guys are here because the NFL Draft will be here and be in Michigan in a couple months.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. Detroit, April 25th. We're I guess 78 days out, and out here, just kind of working the room, so to speak, to promote Detroit and the fact that the draft is going to be in our Motor City.
I know a lot of people back home are excited for it. I've been by the table over there. For those who don't know, and I know you guys have talked about this a little bit, but can you explain the setup downtown, what it will look like for everyone, the hundreds of thousands of people that will be down there?
Yeah, well, the beauty of the draft is it's unique to each host city, right? So it's not like plopping an event into Ford Field or another stadium. So the actual draft theater will be built out around the Campus Martius Park area, and it will flow down Woodward Avenue to Hart Plaza, which is where the NFL draft experience will be. So it's a very expansive footprint, and we're excited about the opportunity of really showcasing our city to a worldwide audience, not only those in person, but the 60 million eyeballs that will be on Detroit over the course of 3 days.
It's been a long time in the making, too. I remember talking to Rod Wood. I think it was 2017, maybe when maybe Detroit first started bidding or talking about bidding on this. So the process to finally land one, how important was that for you guys and for the city?
It was very important. You know, many times you have to go through the process once or twice before you're fortunate enough to be awarded. And it's that way with any event. It's a competitive environment that we work in, and we're privileged to have the opportunity because not many cities can, host, a tentpole event like the NFL Draft.
Yeah, and the NFL, for those who don't know, has for years and years, decades, the draft was anchored in New York, and it started moving around maybe about 10 years ago. Chicago, Philadelphia, Nashville. It's been all over. Kansas City. Excited to see what it looks like here in Detroit. What are the iterations of how the footprint has evolved, I guess? I know from talking to Rod back in the day, like there were many things that were sort of in play. I know the NFL has a hand in it too. How has it evolved?
Yeah, well, there were countless iterations, and the NFL came for a visit, probably 3 or 4 years ago, and we really toured, 3 or 4 potential locations. And at the end of the day, we kind of settled on, kind of the iconic, footprint of Detroit. And it's that city center, it's Campus Martius Park, it's the gathering place downtown now for everyone. And so I think it's going to be a dramatic set for, again, the world to get a bird's eye view of our city.
Brad Holmes talked about that at his end of season news conference Monday, just how Detroit is built for events like this and how good it will be for the city and for people to get a look at the city. He also said, and I think this resonated with Lions fans, that the draft is important because this team is built through the draft. I wonder if that spoke to you a little bit. It's a big event regardless, but just the excitement about Detroit and the Lions and what the draft has meant to this team.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And the fact that the success that the Lions had this year, I think just amplifies the opportunity that the draft brings for us. We know that Lions fans are going to come downtown in droves. But when you think about the drive markets for the other NFL cities that are in the Midwest, we're going to have a huge influx of NFL fans. And I think that we saw in Kansas City, we saw it out here in Vegas 2 years ago. You'll see jerseys from all 32 teams, which really makes it a unique event in that respect.
Well, we were talking about it a short while ago. Chicago with the number 1 pick. That's a drivable, distance if they hold on to that number 1 pick. If Caleb Williams, whoever is in play, I imagine we'll see a lot of Bears fans in Detroit.
Absolutely, and they show out for games too. But there's no question about it. And I think the fun thing about this year's draft is the Lions are going to be drafting late, more than likely. So people are going to hang around, and it's going to be a great Thursday evening, very electric. A lot of activities taking place in and around the downtown core.
Is there a free component too? Like fans can go and hang out in the park area? My son asks me all the time. He said, Dad, can I go? I said, well, I'll be working, so you'll have to have your mom take you. But I remember that being part of it.
Yeah, well, there's a misconception there because people are already asking, well, how can I get tickets? Where do I buy tickets? Where are they go on sale? It's free and open to the public. What you have to do is download one of NFL One Pass to your phone, register there because you'll need that to access the footprint of the NFL draft. And so, and you'll get updated information on that app as we get closer, but sometime in March, they'll start to populate with further information and details about that weekend.
There you go. NFL One Pass for everyone out there interested in that. Yeah, I'm a big basketball guy. I know you got some basketball events coming up too, even before the draft. There's a pretty big basketball tournament coming to town.
Yeah, we do. And, fortunately, unfortunately, the draft has somewhat overshadowed the fact that we were hosting the NCAA men's basketball regional at LCA March 29th and 31st. And we'll have the privilege of sending a team to Phoenix for the Final Four this year. And so, the regional in and of itself is a big event. Again, eyeballs on our city. And again, it's a great opportunity as we prepare for the 2027 NCAA Final Four that will be at Ford Field in Detroit.
Detroit has hosted many, many big events, Final Fours before, Super Bowls before, obviously the Final Four coming again in a couple of years. I'm wondering from your perspective, when the Lions fan base showed out so well this year, home games, road games, the amount of passion that they showed, what does that do to help the Detroit Sports Commission secure bids for some of these events?
I think it demonstrates that, again, people show up, whether it's our home team or the events that we host. The regional is nearly sold out. And, I just think it's a market that is passionate about their teams, but as passionate about sports in general and the events that we bring here. We've set, records for attendance for a variety of events. We think about the Frozen Four in 2010 at Ford Field, right? 35,000 for college hockey. So, we have an expectation, and I think those event owners have an expectation of Detroit's a market that will sell tickets and draw attendance.
I feel very fortunate at times to work cover sports in this market for just that reason. Very passionate fan base, and certainly across the board for many different sports. What other events, what's sort of next on the agenda, I guess? I don't know if World Cup was ever a possibility. What else is sort of in the bidding process that you guys are looking at? Yeah,
well, right now, we're waiting to hear literally any day now about a potential Big Ten football championship. Those bids were out some time ago, and so we're just waiting for some final decisions out of Chicago and the Big Ten conference offices for 25 through 2028. So they're expecting to award those to future hosts. Big Ten men's and women's basketball tournaments as well. That will come sometime after this year's tournaments that they'll award those years. And actually, tomorrow there's a deadline for NCAA championship bids for future years, and we'll be hopefully be back in the mix for some basketball as well as the Division I wrestling championships that we hosted just in 2022.
So one quick question on the NCAA, because a lot of times those have been anchored in Indianapolis or Chicago. I know they've started to move a little bit here recently. Is this the first time Detroit's been in the mix for those? And what would it mean, I guess, to land that for the teams and for the cities?
Yeah, well, the Big Ten football championship for sure. To your point, anchored in Indianapolis. And I think, no offense to Indianapolis, but I think Detroit, Minneapolis, a couple others deserve an opportunity. We don't want it we'd love to have it every year, but we'd like it just once, right? And so I think, with the new commissioner, I think they're more open-minded to being sure that, that property is moved around and gives more access to Big Ten Conference fans.
Well, that would be home field advantage for Michigan or Michigan State next time they're in there, if that could happen. Let's end it on this very last thing, the construction that will go on downtown around the NFL draft, just to bring this sort of full circle. When will that start? How intrusive will that be? How will people get around down there?
Yeah, well, it'll be roughly a 6-week process, and it'll be a phased approach. A little less intrusive early on, but as we get closer to April 25th, street closures, impact on local businesses. But our organizing committee is doing a great job in communicating to those businesses, and more to come, to the general public, because there will definitely be street closures, Jefferson Avenue for sure, with the footprint expanding into Hart Plaza. But again, it's a great opportunity to really showcase our city and allow our local residents an opportunity to be a part of a great event like this.
Like you said, massive footprint for a massive event that's coming to Detroit for the first time. Looking forward to it. I've been to many different drafts in the past 12 or 14 years, and I think Detroit will be a great host city for that. Dave Beachnau, Detroit Sports Commission, thank you for joining me here, Radio Row, Freep.com.
Thanks for having me, Dave.